This is Get Informed with G. I am with G Lion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got a good one for you today. If you're tuning in, this is my podcast. I'm your host speaking, and today I am witnessing Americans living in refugee camps in their own country. I've seen homeless encampments before. I've seen injustice before. I've seen refugee camps before. And when you walk around our houseless community, you see the resemblance very clearly. Problem is there is no provided solution. The problem is that there is only excuses to shoveling weak and innocent people around from one camp to another. The problem is that we have resources and yet choose not to spend it on those in need. The problem is that we have a lot of rich people in Minnesota and we're choosing not to tax them more to help the houseless. This is not socialism. This is not communism. This is your own broken system. The gentleman in front of you here was once houseless. I slept in my car in the middle of the winter, turning it on for 15 minutes to heat the car up and then turning it off. And so I fall asleep until I wake up and cold enough to turn the car back on to heat the car and so on and so forth. And that process would repeat. Luckily, I was at least couch surfing. And even though I had a college degree and legally was allowed to be in the United States, I was legally not allowed to work at the time. That's just part of your immigration process. When you apply for asylum or refugee status and you're in the United States, the first 180 days, you're not even allowed to work. The problem in the system is that once you become houseless, even if you're educated, even if you have a good resume, if you don't have a residential address and you start applying for jobs, no one accepts your application. Ask me. Been there, done that. I believe we have so many empty malls around the United States, and we need to convert these malls into rehousing centers, rehabilitation centers. Why don't we have mall service center? You don't go there to shop. You get there so you could get all your governmental services, health services, training, finding a job. It's a mall. But instead of products that you get so you can wear new clothes or buy new shoes, no, you find food banks, you find clothing bank, you find uh, 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 what you call it, pharmacies, you find clinics. There is an educational clinic, yeah, and then you have uh, housing in there because it's a mall. Then it's huge, humongous. So there's a lot of space for some housing in there, and you have some place so they can get their GED. You have some place. Why don't you convert these malls? They're hosting goats at the moment. Casper is hanging out there. There's no one else. You have so many empty malls, and yet we don't want to use these malls. I mean, this is just one idea from one stupid guy like me. Why do you have to listen to my idea? But the country that has by the way, I just want to make this clear. Our country has decided to make an education system to make a manufacturing system so they can be jumped right back into the manufacturing industry when the labor the when the labor when the industrial revolution happened, people left their farms and moved to the cities, and the United States made schools to divert these farm workers and new students into becoming factory workers. Do you see the United States having factories now? No. Have we adopted or changed anything about our education system? No. Have we updated the system to recognize that the training that we were expecting, that from first grade all the way to senior grade, 12th grade, right? You go through all these years. Back then, that was enough education. Now, even if you get your undergrad, that's not enough education. Even if you get your master's, sometimes that's enough medication. That means that tells you that the government job is to prepare the next generation to enter the job market. When the government fails to prepare the people to enter the job market and then blames the people for not being prepared, it's like when a parent doesn't raise a child and then they're asking why you have a tantrum. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility as a government. You recognize there's a shift in the system. You recognize there's a dot-com boom. You recognize there was a housing boom. You recognize there is right now an AI boom. And you see all of these things happening, and you're not adopting your education system, and you're blaming the people for not being capitalistic enough. And the reality is you have an oligopoly and an oligarchy running the country. You can't tell me that's capitalism. I'm sorry. I believe I'm a capitalist. European countries have more better capitalistic structure for their economy than the United States at the moment. Why do you think the United States is the only democracy? Why do you think the United States is the only capitalistic country in the world? That's exactly why you're in the deep shit. You're in the deep shit because you haven't done your homework. You haven't prepared your own people. You haven't created the infrastructure that's needed. And you have this will continue squeezing your middle class until they become houseless and lose all their voices. And the 1% keeps living. Apparently, these ideas are commie now. What the fuck are you talking about, commie? You realize the Saudis hate the commies really bad, right? to the point that they helped create Al Qaeda to go fight the communists in Afghanistan. You understand that, right? There's more in common between a Saudi Bedouin and an American capitalist redneck. You just don't want to see it, do you? You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But here's the difference: a real cowboy stands with the people, a real Bedouin stands with the people like a wolf. A wolf is never a lone wolf. It's very low, it's very rare you see lone wolves. Reality wolves is work in community. And when you are a wolf, you stand with your community. And the reality is that you are forgetting your origins and you are forgetting your principles and you are forgetting your basic conservative ideals if you are a cowboy. And this is coming from someone that came from a conservative society. Standing with your neighbor shoulder to shoulder is the most of what pride does. Most of what patriotism is when you see injustice, you stand up against it. When you see injustice, you go say, this is incorrect. Because once you stay quiet on the injustice, you basically are allowing all of the crimes next to happen. It starts with one and it moves to the other, and then you blame the wrong thing and you don't know why it's happening. You think if you fed those people, gave them a good place of living, had a good paycheck, right? Didn't worry about their food, you think we would have the crime rates what we would be having now? You're upset that there are drug addicts. I know, I understand. Did you know that the Biden Trump administration both allowed fentanyl to get in the streets so they can catch bigger fish? Why don't you blame the government for the mistakes? Why don't you want to make the government take responsibility and accountability? Why are you blaming the weak? Because it's easy? It's easier for you to blame them, right? They look bad, they smell nasty, they all lumped up somehow, they don't look too good, their hair's not too nice, they haven't taken a shower in a minute, they don't fit in society, so they don't deserve to be with us. Icky, yeah, they're ew. We should put them somewhere where we can't see them. Like that solved the problem. Now you would think different if that was your son, your daughter, or even if that was you. You don't want to admit it, do you? For some people, they don't. It's easier to see a houseless person and go, oh, yeah, they're lazy. Oh yeah, they fucked up. They went against society. You know their life. You know their story. You know where they came from. If someone said anything like that to you, you'd be like, "Who the fuck are you talking about?" Because you think you somebody, right? Then why don't you think about them like they're somebody? If anyone come to you and try to lecture you about your life, you're like, who the fuck are you talking to? Who do you even know me? And we're looking at all these houses, people. We don't even have to say a word. Oh yeah, all of these guys are drug addicts. Yeah, 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 all of these are alcoholics. Yeah, 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 all of these are breaking the law. Yeah, all these motherfuckers, they don't care about government. They're all lazy. Go get a job, motherfucker. Yeah, why don't you get a job, you lazy? Get a job or die. You know, if you want to get a job in the United States, you have to have to actually physical address that's not tied to a shelter. Companies, they do background check. They know if you're making money or not. When you apply for a job, company already doing background check on you. Oh, this person hasn't made money this month on the last 12 months. Oh, it's okay. We should probably not hire them. We'll look for someone else. They do that. How you think they do that? So you create the system, you created a situation, you created an environment where you have guaranteed the failure of many members of your society, whether they came back from war, had their own PTSD, and never gave them the right treatment, or never gave them right attention, or never gave them right resources, whether they were in an abusive household for one way or another by sexual abuse or physical abuse or whatever emotional abuse, and they had to run away for their life, whether they were bankrupted by a company that scammed the whole family, and now the whole family is bankrupt and owe companies and banks a whole bunch of money that they can't pay back because someone decided to scheme them, or a family that one of their members ended up having cancer, and now they have to pay hundreds of $1,000s a month just so they could keep one of their family members alive. These are the realities American facing. Where do you think these circumstances come from? Who do you think is responsible for these circumstances? And why do you think these circumstances result in people being houseless? You don't think these are connected? You don't think people become houseless just out of some people want to be houseless out of choice, man. Let them be, but that's not the majority. Refugees don't choose to be refugees. Houseless people, majority of them don't choose to be houseless. They find themselves in a situation where they are forced to be houseless. And yet, we are lefties for thinking that our neighbors matter, for thinking that honor, integrity, and human rights, the basic principles of conservative ideals, are now all privatized and made somehow into some sort of, if you are not having enough money, you must not be a member of society. Since when this is a part of conservative ideals? Since when that's part of conservative ideals? Who convinced you that's part of conservative ideals? By the way, I told you cowboys and rednecks uh, have more in common with the Bedouins and Arabs than you think, right? I'll give you an example. They both love their guns, their rifles, their guns. They both love them. They both love their animals. Cowboys love their their cows. They like their pigs. They like their chicken. Bedouins, they love their goats. They love their camels. Both of them are conservative. Yes, they also both love their horses. They both love riding trucks. Trucks. They both ride trucks, and they all both live in the middle of nowhere. Y'all have more in common. This is just like the cosmetic commonalities. But when you look at conservative ideals, they they they're not only American. So whoever lied to you as a conservative, I am so sorry. Your identity has been robbed and lied to you. That's why I continue convincing people that the culture war is not going to lead you anywhere. Because the person that's houseless is doesn't matter if he's conservative or liberal. You don't even know who they are. You just assume. But houseless people come from all backgrounds. They come from all faith. They come from all speaking languages. And no, they're not communists. And no, they didn't choose to be there. So when I'm pissed off and I want leaders to take responsibility, I'm not looking for a leader to shuffle these refugees from one camp to another. That's not solving the problem. I want real actions. I want to see a national effort. I want to see a statewide effort. Why does it have to be something like moving the camps instead of giving people actual houses? We have plenty of vacant houses here. Anyways, building housing, figuring solution for the housing community, for the unhoused community is something that needs to be done now sooner than ever. And kicking these houses communities is not gonna reduce your crime rate. In fact, I bet you whatever you just did will increase the crime rate and will increase drug overdoses and will also cause the city more money in the long run. Anyways, let's get to the latest news. At least 30 people have been reported killed in a suspected Houthi missile and drone attack on Yemeni emergency forces camps in Ma'rib and uh, Hadramaut. Iran says a deal with Oman to reopen the Strait of Hormuz is on the verge of being finalized after both countries agreed on the coordinates of routes through the critical waterway. Today, I was listening to the news and I was laughing my ass off because several days ago I said, when the Iranians say that they have no communication at all with the Americans, they're usually talking about maybe there's indirect communication with the Americans. And when the Americans have indirect communications with the Iranians, the Americans goes, we have direct communication with the Iranians. So I was listening to the news today, and I literally heard the news reporter go, "Yeah, Iran says that they're only negotiating with Oman, but we all know that they will be having indirect, like negotiations with the United States." And I'm like, I knew it. I knew it before you had to publish the news on it. US President Donald Trump says the Pentagon has massive amount of munition and promises to hunt down leaders behind reports of weapon shortages. Oh, the leakers behind the weapon shortages. How dare you leak some information about that there's weapon leakage. There's a weapon shortage in the United States. I will hunt you down myself. We all know we can do the math. You don't need. There's no. There's. We've done the math, Habibi. We just count how many missiles you've been shooting. Israel continues air attacks on the southern Lebanon after an explosion killed two Israeli soldiers in the town of Majd Salem. Israeli forces have continued raids across the occupied West Bank. Soldiers stormed the Khalidia refugee camp for a second day, injuring several Palestinians and arresting a dozen. The Houthi attack signal expansion of operation, whether you like it or not. Thank you for tuning in, Laura. We know this was one of a kind attack by the Houthis that targeted the Saudi backed Yemeni government. In 2015, Saudi government established what's known as the Yemeni Emergency Forces after brief clashes with the southern separatists. The Yemeni government managed to take over the areas controlled by the Southern Transitional Council and thereby established an emergency forces, which is made up with six divisions of nearly 30,000 fighters. This means that the Houthis are expanding their operations not only to target the Saudi ships, but also in the Red Sea, ships in the Red Sea, but also to target the Saudi ally alliance on the ground. This is an expansion because the previous attacks were mostly on ships and maritime traffic. They also said that they are getting ready to shut down all of the Strait of Bab al Mandab Strait, and which would make a huge, big difference. Here, 1 second. Mm, what time is it here? where Piotr is messaging me to see what time we should do a live stream. So I'll keep you guys posted about that. A Houthi spokesman has written on X that the ground will soon reveal more details of what he called a wide qualitative military operations, but did not elaborate. Earlier on Thursday, the Houthis reportedly used ballistic missiles and explosive landed drones on the Yemeni emergency forces, killing at least 30 people. So again, this is all indications that the Houthis are expanding the war into the Saudi government, into Yemen, and probably will expand it some ways into Saudi Arabia at some point. But at the moment, it's being expanded inside of Yemen on the ground, and this is an escalation to what is happening and will be bad for the global economy. So let me see if the oil prices are affected. Because I think oil prices are still distracted by the fact that I thought he responded. Yeah, oil prices are still the same. Fires are better now, I believe. We don't have much fires in Minneapolis or any. Luckily, I have a medical grade air purifier in my house. So if it gets bad, I'll just crank that thing up all the way to the highest and stay indoor. If you are tuning in, thank you for coming in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're certainly watching a recording. Make sure you join us on Substack. We have an amazing community that is working constantly to make a difference. I was yapping about a lot of the houseless issues that we're facing in Minnesota. The houseless encampments are still being removed. Our community is still showing up to protect them. I'm very proud of the work that I'm seeing on the ground. I saw Representative Lee Finke on the ground. She's actually on the ground now. And I also saw yesterday several council members, uh, and one of them was Council Member Wojong. Amazing work. That's exactly what I expect from city council members, to be on the ground, to actually meet the houseless community and work with them one on one to help them out. If you are not doing this type of work and you're not on the ground and you're a city council member, you're not doing your job. These are your own city residents, and therefore they deserve to be treated with respect and love and dignity, just like every American citizens to be treated with that same respect. I'm not asking for too much, by the way. I mean, if you literally tax the 1% in the United States, 5 to 10%, you would be solving most of these issues. Uh, I think the laws need to change to if you're a billionaire, we will use our IRS to reach your money regardless of where it is. And if any country doesn't want to give us their money, we should do the exact same pressure that we do diplomatically on these countries. Instead of targeting countries for no reason and targeting war and starting conflict with Iran, we should be focusing on taxing the 1% and how diplomatically we go and find all of their banks and diplomatically make sure that they are paying taxes on the offshore money that they are hiding abroad. But that's one way of they're hiding money from you. One of the other ways they're hiding money is by keeping their money in stocks. Because as long as the money is in stock, then the money is untaxable. So they keep their money in stock and then they borrow against it. They go to a bank and go to the bank and they go like, "Oh yeah, I have a stock that's worth $5 billion. I need a loan of $600 million." The fact that they are taking the loan, they get the dividend from the stock. The dividend basically pays them back for the amount of stock that they have over time. It pays back the loan. I'm telling you, there is going to be a burst bubbling soon. People don't want to admit it, but the reality is, AI looks and sounds exactly like the .com bubble. Any company that says we have added AI to our company, their stocks hit the roof. That's good in the short term, but you don't know if that's actually meaningful right now or not. Crypto is just another currency that's being abused. It's a currency. It's a currency, but it's being abused. If I'm, if Trump has his own, coin, he has everything now. He has his own cologne. He has his own pen. He has his own friend Epstein. See if I could find your questions here. MashaAllah. Talking so much, my throat's starting to hurt. Um, I don't know if I told you guys yet, but I'm officially legally allowed to apply for my U.S. citizenship now. So we need as many of you to become paid subscribers so I can afford to pay a lawyer to pay my US citizenship. um, it's gonna cost me around $6,000 ish. And I grew up bougie, but I don't. That doesn't mean I can afford it. I'm poor as hell and totally dependent on you guys supporting us. So if you have an extra penny to spare, we would appreciate you helping fund my operation so I can go and pay my lawyer. If you want to donate to my Venmo account is linked in my uh, bio, and my Cash App is also linked to my. Is I posted a link to my Cash App in the chat. Muji, what are the primary goals of the Houthis to lift the blockade on them and to be recognized as a country? What topic with Piotr? We still haven't figured out the topic yet. Did I hear about the Ko-fi? No, I did not hear about the Ko-fi option for accepting tips during live streams on Substack. Um, that's news to me. Settings, dashboard. Yeah, I don't see anything like that on here. Yeah, I don't see anything about tips. I sent you money on Venmo, but thank you so much for your donation. I did. Thank you. Ugh. See if I can change this. Join all types of creators getting tips, memberships, and sales from their fans. Interesting. I have to take a look at it. I start school in September. I will be on Substack. The program I'm in is designed for people who are working and wanting to study. So we're usually our classes are on the weekend. So mostly not. It won't be affected. I already found Kufi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think we are getting to the end of my live stream because I want to see if I'm needed at the houseless encampment. So the Houthis have confirmed they have attacked several Yemeni emergency forces camps, not one camp, several. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love your faces. And as always, remember, you may not fuck with politics, but politics will always fuck with you. My name is Wajih Lion. This was Get Informed with Wajih. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. مع السلامة. Bye bye. وبالإنجليزي. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.